Hi everybody. Just kind of sitting here in my living room and trying to figure I need to make a video. I haven't really done a whole lot. I do have some dumpster videos to put out, but kind of wanted to stretch them out for you guys that watch my dumpster videos. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? And I know there's so many of us that are kind of stuck at home. And yesterday was Easter. I kind of slid right on by. I know a lot of people kind of did things a lot differently than they normally do. It was a whole new experience for many people this year. I kind of thought I'd share some things that, we all talk about. Kids say the darndest things, do the darndest things. My kids were no exception. Yeah, I've got kids. I have 3 grown adult kids. I don't see them. I don't talk to them. My son, yeah, he's going to be 35 this year. And my oldest of my 2 daughters will be 33, and my youngest will be 30. That's really makes me feel old. Makes me feel really old. Where'd time go? I've been out of school for 37 years. Ouch. Wow. It doesn't seem possible. But let's talk about what kind of crazy things, My kids are all very different and unique in their own ways. I think one of the funniest things, my kids have all got a huge sense of humor, quirkiness about them. They each are so differently unique. My oldest of my 2 daughters, Eliza, when she was probably, I'd say 6, it'd been in the summertime. We'd been to the creek swimming. We lived in a farmhouse, and she was at that age where, she could carry her plate to the table. And I'd made spaghetti, and the sauce and meat was in a crock pot while we were swimming. And I'd called her out to get her plate. I made her plate, put her garlic bread on it. She was carrying her plate, and she went to lick the sauce off her thumb and tipped her plate up. When she did it, because she was still wearing her bathing suit, of course it was a one piece, the spaghetti went right down inside of her bathing suit. This was back when 911 was like big, new, brand new show. And my kids were glued to that TV every time it was on. They loved that show. And you never know how much your kids are going to learn from a TV show like that by letting them watch it. We grabbed her. We dropped everything. All of us, all 5 of us, ran to the downstairs bathroom with her, pulling her top down, getting her in the shower, running cold water, cooling her off, getting the spaghetti and sauce off from her. And she's crying, big old crocodile tears, just getting that cool water against her and getting the hot off from her, getting the heat away from her skin. And, cooling her down. And she's got these little red spots all over her from the sauce and the meat. And we're cooling her down. She's shivering because, it's cold. That's cold water coming out of that spring. She looks at us. She's got these tears running down her face. Big old blue eyes full of tears. And she goes, "Did anyone call 911 yet?" And we all just looked at her. And you just couldn't help but to giggle. And if you don't think your kids don't learn things by watching a TV show, think again. She didn't need 911, but they learn. They learn the little things like that very quickly. And anyhow, she got over it. She was okay. But it's just cute, the little things that our kids learn. My son, it was in the same big farmhouse, had a wood burning furnace in the cellar, in the basement, and I was down there, and I can't remember what wood we were burning at the time. Every time I'd open that furnace to check it or put wood in, the wood would snap and pop, and out would come these big chunks of burning coal, flames and all that. And I went down to put some in, and a whole bunch of it went popping, and all this stuff come out. And of course, being a wooden floor, there's all this debris of little pieces of wood and all over the place. And all these little fires started all over the basement. And it went from one to another really quickly. And I yelled up and told my son, Matt, bring me I thought I said a bucket of water. He may not have heard me. I may not have said a bucket. That was back when Care Bear was the big thing at the time. And my brother had given me a Care Bear mug because him and I both drink tea. And so there was only like a 6, maybe an 8-ounce cup at the most. My son comes down those stairs just as happy as could be with my Care Bear mug full of water for me. His eyes got like this, oh, Mom, this isn't enough. You need a bucket of water. And he runs back upstairs, takes the mug with him. I mean, I was putting it out. I just, the minute it hit, it was the first thing I could say was, get me a bucket of water. I didn't really need it. But, before he got back down, it was all out. But, yeah, the basement got a good cleaning that day. But it was funny. My daughter, Jeannie, she didn't talk much. She was a preemie. She was 6.5 weeks early. She was so tiny that preemie socks come clear up to the bottom of her diapers. And she didn't talk. She hardly spoke a word. She had some funny moments too. One of the things that she did that really, really got everybody, and it was mostly my fault, trying to explain to her after my dad's passing. He was cremated after the funeral. She was with us because she wasn't in school yet. So she was just about 4 years old, not quite 4, and trying to explain to her how they fit him in this little square box. Well, I was trying to put it in terms that a little kid could understand. I says, well, they take your body, and I explained to her, once you die, there's nothing there. Your body's just a shell. The rest of you's in heaven, and that's the part that counts. Well, she understood that. She goes, but how'd they get that in there? I says, well, they take and they put the body in this really big, big oven. They make it really, really hot, and they cook you at a really high temperature. Well, I guess that wasn't exactly the explanation I should have given her. I said, and then after they cook you, you're little bitty ashes, and then they take all those ashes and they wait till they're cool, and they put them in the box. And I told her that's what's called cremation. And then we showed her inside the box was his ashes. And he had diabetes really bad, and he had started losing, because of gangrene, he'd started losing part of his feet and his fingers. And she says, even his toes are in there? And we're like, well, yes, his toes are in there too. Well, when her older brother and sister got off the bus, she ran outside all excited. We went and picked up Grandpa. Grandpa's here. Well, they ran inside expecting to see him sitting on the edge of the bed, because he was in a hospital bed at that point. Well, she was like, no, no, no. He's not on the bed. He's in the box. They cooked him. He's in here. My other 2 kids were totally horrified. But, it's kind of funny. kids say weird things. The other funny thing she did was, you never know when they're going to learn things from you. And she loved my grandmother. Even though my grandmother, she wasn't around her a whole lot, she always listened to everything she could hear. She may not have talked a whole lot, but she listened. She'd come home from school, she was in kindergarten, and she was dillying around. It was a half a day kindergarten. So she'd come home by herself, and she was sitting there, and she comes up to me, and she goes, "Do you see this?" And she's got, I think, a nickel and 2 pennies in her hand. And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you know what this is?" And I was like, "Oh, good, she's going to count some money to me. That's really cool." And I was like, "I'm going to play stupid. I don't know, Jeannie, what is it?" She goes, "It's diddly squat." And she slaps it down on the counter and walks away with her hand on her hips. And I'm like, "Okay, thank you, Grandma Spry, for that one." It was really funny. Now, my oldest granddaughter, which is my youngest daughter's little girl, she was standing behind me one day, and she was like licking her fingers and rubbing the back of my shoulder, and she'd scrub, lick, scrub, and she started stomping her feet, and she's like, "It won't come off." And we're like, "Keegan, what are you doing?" She's like, "It won't come off, Grandma. It's stuck. It won't come off." I'm like, "What are you doing back there?" She's like scrubbing on the back of my shoulder with her, spit wash. She says, "Grandma, you got something on you and it won't come off." And it dawns on me, I have a tattoo back here. And she's trying to spit wash this tattoo off. And it was so funny. Well, my daughters, everybody at the table's laughing. Me and my daughters are both, all 3 of us live together. And with Keegan. And we were all just rolling. Finally, her mom got up and moved my tank top back a little bit and showed Keegan my tattoo, which says "Love, Cherish, Protect." And it has my 3 kids' names underneath it, and it has the mother-child figure. And Keegan is just like never really paid attention to tattoos before. She was young, probably about 4, maybe, well, she wasn't quite 5. She might have been 5. She was where we were living. She was probably 5 because I think she was in kindergarten. But it was so funny that she was just trying her hardest to spit wash off that tattoo, and it just was not leaving. But, kids do. If you listen to them and you let them learn things and you let them come around you and you let them be around the adults, they will pick up and they will learn the good things. Like the diddly squat thing. Trying to spit wash off a dirty spot. That was so me. I was always spit washing off a little mark off her face or something like that. Or, and you never know what they're going to pick up on. You never know the different things that they're going to learn by being around the family, by being around the older people in your family, the little quirkiness things. And when you don't have your family around, you really start to think about those things and learning to appreciate all the little things that happen and the little things that go around. Because, we go into these empty buildings, abandoned homes, and you see all these places, you see it all the time on YouTube. They're full of stuff that people have just left. The people have died or whatever, and you wonder why there's photo albums full of pictures on the walls, pictures on desks, pictures on tables, personal belongings, and you wonder why they're still there. In this day and age, the kids grow up and they just don't care to come back to the older people. Grandma and grandpa just kind of floated on a wayside. They don't go back and see them. They don't pay any attention. They don't care. It's not that they don't totally care. They just don't. Out of sight, out of mind, I guess. They just don't really, like, for me, if my grandma needed me, I was there. I could walk in my grandma's house and I could notice if something was different. I could notice, oh, gee, Grandma, you got a new lamp. Or, hey, did you need help moving that? You know, now that I've gotten a lot of problems with lifting stuff and things like that, I appreciate even more all the help that I used to give my mom and give my grandma, because there's times where I go to try to move something and I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. And, you know, I'm glad I was there for my mom and dad, and I was there for my grandparents when I was, because, well, for my grandmas were both gone long before I was around to do things for them. But, you know, now's maybe a good time to stop, and for all of us to stop and think about when they're going to need us. You know, we're all thinking about keeping them healthy and staying away from them, but, you know, one of these days everybody's going to be, you know, our grandparents are going to be gone. My grandparents are all gone. My parents are gone. So, for me, that's already happened. But, you know, there's a lot of younger people that their parents or grandparents are going to pass on, and they're going to be like, what do we do with this stuff? I don't want it. You know, I wouldn't know the first thing about, what is this? You know, to them it's garbage. They may not even ever go to the house and just forgotten. And it just sits there, just like many of the houses that people like myself and many of the other YouTubers go in, abandoned houses, and they go in and they look at the stuff and see, and they wonder, why is it still there? Why is it there as though someone just walked away from it? And many times it is just for that reason. The families just aren't there to take care of it, to pack it up, at least donate it, to clean it up, to look back at the memories of the old photos and say, hey, I remember that person. Hey, do you know who this was? Right now, I'd give anything to have my photos back. I know I've been told they were burned. So, yeah. Pictures I'll never see again. So, anyways, and it wasn't done by my kids, I will tell you that. It was done out of hatred by someone that was supposed to be a caregiver. But because that person couldn't get money because I was denied my disability the first time around. Yeah, anyways. So, but everybody, now's a good time to share those stories. Now's a good time to think back about your parents, your grandparents. Maybe sit down and write down who's in the family. Who were your parents? Who were your grandparents? Talk to your kids about things that happened years ago. Share the good times. Share the laughter. Yeah, I have a lot of things I could share that aren't good, but there's a lot more things that were good than that were bad. Everybody have a wonderful day, and no matter what, there's always something good out there and something fun out there that you can share. Everybody, have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.